today I'm going to do something a little different because I'm going to be drawing something that's a little more special to me, so I'm going to be drawing, I'm at least going to try, because this is something I want to do. I would actually like to make a card for it one of these days, once I start getting, you know, animals and humans done up pretty well. But this is a picture of my old trucking dog, Monk, and a gentleman I met in Vegas. It was like September or something like that. So, and it was just like one of those pictures that was like perfect timing. I will tell you the story of it. But that's what I want to do today. I'm going to draw that. And I was looking at the paper, and normally I have like the one little small one and the other one. So today, instead of just trying to squish all that photo into one little square, which would probably end up making it look really odd, I'm actually going to do 2 days, so this is going to be an hour video. I might do a little bit of fast forward, but I'm going to try to do as much you know, live video as I can, with a little bit of maybe some voiceover. I might have it 2 or 3 times faster a little bit, and I might just do some voiceover, so it depends. Since yesterday's video was extremely late because I was having issues between, I was like doing a full-on clean day, and I kind of got late getting the video up, and then my other video that I did the day before that, you know, I tried to get them up, and then out here in Utah it's a holiday. It's the 24th, which is Pioneer Days, and so we do a lot of fireworks and stuff, and I also did a little bit of Ubering last night, but I don't know if it was just the Wi-Fi in my area. Everybody was like on the Wi-Fi, and it was extremely slow. I uploaded my video and having it uploaded. When I left, it was like at 1%. When it came back from Ubering for 4 or 5 hours, it was like at 30%. So I had to restart all my Wi-Fi and get it up there, and then it started to upload again, a little faster, but still really slow. So I changed the last 2 videos for this morning or this afternoon, and of course I messed up the time to have the timeout, so it just barely came out by the time I'm filming this. So I figured I'm going to do a double day again like I did yesterday. I'm going to do for day 25. Today's the 25th, and tomorrow's the 26th, which is today is Friday, and tomorrow is Saturday. I might do a live for my budgeting channel tomorrow. I have a lot of budgeting papers that I've gotten drawn up, but I haven't really inked out, and I figured that would be a good way to force myself to do it. So having a double video today would be a good thing that would free me up for tomorrow. So I'll still be doing stuff, just so it depends on how much time I got. So let's get started with this drawing. Now I'm still kind of learning how to do humans and animals, but if I don't freaking practice, I ain't gonna get any better. So I'm gonna just start trying to work out this gentleman. Just call him Santa Claus. He's kind of looking down at an angle, and then my dog's kind of looking up and licking his face. So I have to maneuver. Big shoulders. Hi. Yes, I'm talking to myself. We do that sometimes. You're not coming in because you'll chew on stuff. Yes, you will. I have the rabbit out here just staring at me. It's like, let me in. So let's get started and see how well this picture does up. Since most of this is in reds and golds and stuff, I'm going to use my pencil because I need more practice using pencil and doing that in. So I'm going to actually take my time with this one. This one will actually going to try for an hour. It might be a little bit longer, might be a little less. I'm not going to worry about the 30-minute limit today. I'm just going to try to enjoy myself and get as much as this stuff done. I might even do it in 2 segments if it's taking too long. So today is going to be just a full-on drawing video, but it is part of my 32 day video series. So I just went and took some white paint and just kind of whited out a little bit of the little thingy there. I really wish I had some more acrylics. I wouldn't mind trying to learn how to do the acrylics on these things, but I think I need a lot to learn before I do something like that. But I would love to take this picture and actually turn it into like a holiday card or something like that, or a Christmas cup or something like that, where I can learn how to paint in acrylic and do some mugs or something like that to put that on, like hand painted type of stuff would be awesome. That would be an expensive thing if I wanted to do, but it'd be kind of cool to have. I also wouldn't mind having like a big picture on the back wall of it. So, like I said before, let's get started. Let's put this over here, and that over here, and film. Let's cut to the video. Alright, starting off, I'm just going to do a kind of a blocking out Santa's face and the doggy's face, just very roughly. And in the picture, his shape is almost a U shape, with that beard and everything else going in. So I'm just going to... his hat is about right here, so I'll have his hat kind of coming into the side here. And then his face is actually kind of a U shape. So I'm just going, I could always try to do this like as a cartoon one of these days after I get this done. He is kind of rounded a little bit on the face. He's looking down, so his eyes are about right here. His nose, he's at an angle, so he's kind of looking down at the dog's faces, which is right over here. So I'm going to have that kind of look like he's looking down. He's got his bulbous, here's your big nose. Like I said, I'm just gonna try to block in the areas. His glasses are kind of right here, and he's got a little bit of his glasses don't go all the way out. They just kind of round, just normal glasses. Just your normal average glasses. Now, this guy is probably one of the, if I were to believe in Santa Claus again, it would have probably been because of this guy right here. Because if I was going to meet any type of Santa Claus, this would be him. I'm going to get his glasses a little bit further down. And like I said, I'm using holding the back end of my pencil, so I'm not tempted to really get these things in using a heavier hand than I need to. And his hat's kind of almost crooked, almost. And then he has his beard, and his ears are almost right under his, at least his ear over here is a little more, it's not that rounded. Unless I actually want to do cartoon style. Now this is at a weirdish angle, so I'm not quite sure how to do that. So I'm just going to kind of aim for the top of his ears. And he has his beard, so I'm just going to do it an outline. And his Mr. Santa Claus. Can't really see his mouth. And he has that really nice trimmed but yet bushy. My dad actually played Santa Claus one year. It's really kind of lighter, and it's curly-ish, but he has more rounded a little bit over here on his cheeks, so we're going to bring that up over here, and it's a little more rounded. He has more of a square-ish face. He almost looks like, you know, that guy that played in Jurassic Park and stuff, that played the older man. Okay, well, that's basic for him. Now, Mr. Monk over here, I'm going to just draw his head, kind of a round shape right here. And his nose is actually kind of under here, so I might actually kind of point where his nose is. And I'm just going to kind of do a triangle. So I might actually have to adjust the circle over it a little bit. That way it's a little more, and his nose is kind of, his eyes are a little bit hingy, and he has his little mouth over here. He's my trucker dog. I had him for many, many years. I got him at the Pound over in Tucson, and he was in a cage full of other, you know, little street doggies, and he, on the cage, it said UNK, And me not knowing what it meant, I was like, hey, look at that. We can just, his name is Unk. I probably don't want to keep Unk as his name. And my mom's like, no, that means unknown. So he was just a street dog. They picked him up on the streets. And I'm like, oh, okay, Unk, Monk, Spunk, and Punk. And Monk kind of stuck. So he became a zen-like little monster. And I had him on the truck for probably about 7 years when I started driving. He was my second trucker dog. My first trucker dog was a black lab, a black lab chow mix. And her name was Kome. Her name was short for Vakome, which meant sweet of the corn. The lady I had her before was Iroquois, and she named him. One of her daddy doggies was an assist dog, so wheelchair assist dog. And then when she was moving up to Utah to get some surgery done, I'm like, I need a companion, so I took Colme with me, and after I had her on the truck for about 7 to 9 years, and then after she passed away, I got Monk. And like I said, Monk was just a puppy when I got him. I lasted for about 4 months before I had to go out and get me another dog. And when we were on the road together, he was a reincarnated surfer dude, because he was good with just about anything. If I was okay with it and it didn't bother me, he was fine. He would let anybody in the truck. He was everybody's friend. He loved everybody. And now, don't get me wrong, he, any type of guy who would pay attention, he'd be all, be like, oh, hi, how are you doing? But when I was at Starbucks, Starbucks was Monk's favorite word. I say, you want to go to Starbucks? He'd go, oh, and he'd just go bonkers. And so it was just one of those days when I worked in Vegas, and we had a little bit of time off before we headed up to, I have no idea. I worked for like Office Max at the time, delivering office supply stuff. And so we had a little time, so I'm like, let's go to Starbucks. And he was out there and got my coffee and then put him on the back patio and stuff while I went inside. It was a nice day. It was like September and Vegas. If you've ever been to Vegas during the summer, it sucks. So I try to avoid having him outside in the sun in Vegas during time. So I know it was a decent time. It wasn't Christmas time. It was like somewhere between, I think September is still hot. So it was probably closer to October or so. And he was on the back patio. I went inside and got my coffee. I always get my cafe Americana with a little bit of honey, a little cinnamon. So if you want to get me a buy me coffee, link in the description, blah, blah, blah. Don't care. That's what I'd get, is a Americano, if I don't turn everything back into the channel. Anyways, so he was sitting out there on the back patio, and this Starbucks, it has a nice little shaded area, which is one of my favorite places to take him. Because he would, that way I didn't really have to worry about him overheating and stuff like that. And he was just, out there chilling and everything. I came back out there and we was sitting down. I was reading my book, and he's just watching people, just, begging for people to come in and say hi to him and stuff, just, wiggling like the doggies usually do. But he's older than this picture, so he's a little more reserved. He does not go completely bonkers when somebody walks up near him. He just kind of looks at him and kind of wiggles and gives that lab-looking smile, like, hey, you want to pet me? He is actually a Corgi Beagle mix. He looked like a miniature lab. He is adorable. And so this guy comes out with his coffee. Yes, Santa drinks coffee. This guy come out in his coffee and sits down kind of kitty corner from me. He has a little newspaper in his coffee, and he's just sitting there chilling. Excuse me as I drink my soda. And the minute this guy comes around the corner, my dog took one look at him and went absolutely batshit crazy. I have only seen him going this crazy when we're coming home and we've been away for like a month, and because he absolutely loves my dad, and he'll go and like he was like pulling his things on, like going, I'm so sorry, can he come and say hi to you? Because he ain't gonna stop until he's in that mode, like, I know this person, he is awesome, I know him. And so he was just absolutely going crazy over it. And this guy just kind of smiles. He goes, yeah, sure, no problem. And so I let him, go there, and he's just like all up in this guy's face, and I'm like going, I just look in this like, he does look kind of like Santa. He did not have the hat on him. He was just the red shirt and the beard, and like this, he almost looked like a Santa Claus. That'd be a cute picture. And I go, I really hate to say this, I'm not this type of person, but can I get a picture of you with my dog? Because this would make an awesome, kind of Christmas present or something like that, or a nice little picture that I have. He goes, sure, but hold on, wait one more second. So he gets up and goes to his big white Ford pickup truck and pulls out a Santa hat and comes back down and sits down. And I'm like going, oh, this is so freaking perfect. And so he sits down and he's like, I go, do you do this for a living? Are you a Santa Claus? He goes, I've done it once or twice. And he just had that twinkle in his eye. And I'm like going, if there's a real Santa Claus out there, my dog knew it. He knew him. And I'm like going, this is, honest to God, this has got to be, I am no longer a child. I don't really believe in Santa Claus. But when I saw him, I knew there was something about this guy. And so he put on the hat. And I grabbed my phone out. And I got lined up. And that dog went up and licked his face. And I got that picture at the exact moment he was about ready to lick Santa's face. And that dude just leaned backwards and just laughed so hard. And it was a full-on belly laugh. It was one of those things that's just perfect. It's like going, okay, this is Santa. I love me some Santa holiday Hallmark type of thing, but my God, this is a Santa moment. This is some 40-year-old person having a Santa Claus moment at Starbucks with her dog, and her dog recognized this dude. This dude was special. This dog does not go bonkers over people. That dog knew him. So that's the story of Monk and Santa Claus. It's like there's just certain people that you pay attention when your dog has a reaction. Be it good or be it bad. If your dog doesn't like somebody, there is something about that person. And you need to start putting up those red flags, and you need to start paying attention, because there's something not right about the person. But if you have a dog that absolutely falls in love with somebody at first sight, that person is special. And it doesn't even have to be a dog. It could be pretty much any type of animal. And if they take one look at this person and go, this dude is special. I know this dude. I've met him before. That is the type of person you want to take note of, because there is something special about them. So make sure you pay attention to your animals. And I've been sitting here without actually drawing this, but that's the story of Monk and Santa Claus. And yes, Santa Claus likes Starbucks. And he drives a big white Ford truck. You can actually see it in the background. You see his Ford truck out there. I wish I would have gotten his name, or really asked more about it. It's just one of those people that you're just kind of in awe when you meet him. He just has that personality. Okay, his shirt kind of comes over here, and it is a button down. Here's a little bit of hair. Santa's got some hair on him. And he has a little button right here, and it kind of goes up. You guys kind of see it. And he's got a little triangle. Kind of draw what you can see. Whenever you're doing something that's a little more difficult, just kind of draw what you can draw, kind of thing. And so it's got a little bit of, you can see he's got his little puff ball right here. You can kind of see a little bit of the thing going up behind it. There's a little bit of a shadow here. I'm going to make sure I kind of get that shadow. Can't really see his whole hat because of the way it is, but I'm going to try to fit it up so it's his brow is right about where his glasses are, and it's a little more, since he's at an angle, his brow is like right here. I'm going to make sure I'm going to just erase his glasses because I'm getting sidetracked. And he has kind of a crinkle right here. He has a little bit of a bulbous nose, and it kind of goes straight down a little bit right here, and then kind of turns over, and then you can kind of see the side nostril a little bit, like right here. I want to get that nose kind of right if I can. I'm actually just gonna do kind of a U shape. I can kind of get the size right here because he has his glasses that kind of go over here. I mean, it looks like a Muppet. And then we'll just kind of flush it out a little bit. Bring it over a little bit. He has a decent sized schnoz. And then his glasses kind of match right here. So they kind of come out. His face might just be too wide on this side. That might be what's throwing me off a little bit. So let's erase a little bit and see if that works a little bit better. And has a little bit of his forehead coming out a little bit, down to his eyebrows, and then his eyebrows kind of come out, down to his hairs, his mustache. Actually, he has, I totally forgot, but he has twirlies. He's a twirler. I totally forgot about that, but you can just barely see his mustache twirl on the side. It's kind of cool. And so it's a little bit thicker. You can see it where he just takes his edges over here and he twirls. You don't really see that too much. And then it's a little bit just under it. You can kind of see his mouth shape a little bit, but not much, because his whiskers are pretty much covering it. And then he looks like he probably has a dimple. I don't know how to do whiskers. That's something I'm going to have to look up if I want to do this guy. I might have to do this kind of cartoon style. He's got his glasses. You can kind of see his brow, and he's got a couple wrinkle lines up on top. I want to make sure I get his glasses and they're not too much of an angle. And then you can kind of see his eye underneath, but his glasses are kind of covering it. So there's kind of a hint of an eye there. They're not really thick glasses, but they're enough. And plus he has a literally a sparkle coming off his glasses right here, which is kind of cool. So we'll get some, I'm going to just put some shading in here so I can kind of remind myself. And his glasses, not quite oval, but then they have the little bit of the hook here, and then it goes straight back into his hairline. And I might bring that up a little bit over here, and then a little further down here. And he's got himself a big puffy hat. And then this side is a little bit rounded and a little bit straight here. And then the top is kind of there's almost a straight spot right here where the glasses connect. And it's got a little bit of and then it kind of goes up and over, just slightly. And then you can kind of see his eye underneath it a little bit. And his eyebrow is more noticeable over here. And he's also got some, okay, this side of the eye is a little bit odd. I might bring that down just a little bit and bring it down a little bit over here. Trying to, because it's kind of hard to do the angle by looking at it. I probably should have that up a little bit higher, because his glasses are actually angled away from his face a little bit. So these ones look like they're higher up, but I'm not quite sure how to fix that. I'll have to ask someone. There's a lady in the mall that does art lessons. I might have to just take some art lessons and ask. Because I'm almost there, but there's certain things that I'm not quite sure how to do the effect. And I'm sure with enough practice and if I find enough videos, I can figure it out. But sometimes when you're going to find videos and people who do how-to videos, a lot of it's kind of piecemeal, because a lot of times they're getting started themselves, or even if they have had like a playlist with how to do certain types of things, a lot of times it's gone off by what either people want to see done or their experience and how they're trying to teach it to other people. And so a lot of times what you get might be a sped up version, like some of mine, like here, watch me draw type of videos, which is, fine, but I'm almost to the point where I actually want to start learning how to do how-to videos and teach people, so it's not just, hey, look what I did, me. And I actually want to start teaching people like what to look for when you want to approach something you haven't done before, like this, drawing a Santa Claus, but trying to do it as realistic as you want, but without the information you need to get there. And so a lot of this is just trial and error, and which is fine. That's how you learn. Me starting drawing and figuring this stuff out when I'm in my 40s, I'm almost 50s. I'm 47, and I really started learning how to do this type of stuff around December, maybe a little bit. I had a sketchbook here then. I started maybe near October, but really sitting down to learn more than just cartoon, drawing a pumpkin here or there, trying to draw some leaves here and there, but actually trying to develop enough that you can actually see a face starting to develop. I'm seeing a person here, and at first glance you're like, kind of looks like a Santa Claus thingy. That looks kind of cool. If I didn't have the hat, it just looked like an old man staring down at his dog with laughter in his eyes, which is really cool. And I want this going up underneath the hat. I might have to bring that hat down a little bit. I might have to just pretend I have the whole picture. Sometimes you need to do that. And his hat kind of comes in a little bit over here, that from what you can see, so I'm assuming it kind of comes in. If you have to, just kind of do some squiggles until you kind of see a shape that kind of looks about right, and then just kind of go in there and erase it, because once you got the idea of where it's at, just from your random squiggles, you can kind of go back. So don't be afraid to just kind of do some rough squiggly marks until you kind of see what you need to see. And see, like here, he has that beard. It kind of it highlights his cheeks a little bit here. But then it kind of goes up into his hairline right here. So I need to make sure I have that and his ear, which is what I'm trying to figure out. So I'm just going to kind of erase that hat that I had, the puffball there, and try to figure out his hat might need to come out a little bit further. So I'm just going to do little squiggle lines here. His hat might be a little bit too big, so we want somewhere kind of in between, so just kind of do some squiggle marks. And then his ear it kind of goes into a shadow, and it almost looks like a teardrop on his ear on the inside from the angle I'm at. So I'm going to do that negative space where his ear canal is, because from where I'm looking at it almost looks like he has some hair kind of growing up over it, but it looks like a teardrop. So I'm going to focus on that. And then his other ear, or the outside of his ear, he has kind of that flap that kind of curves around, and he has that ridge, and then it's just a kind of a normal ear. And then he has his hair that kind of comes up and kind of covers it a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do here, and I'm going to just kind of fill it in. He has more of the little bit of hair coming in over here. And so now that I kind of have that idea, I'm going to come back and redo his glasses going underneath. This little corner here is really screwing me up. Let me get some ink, because I keep seeing it and I keep thinking his hat is, and it's kind of screwing me up. So I'm just going to do a little bit of light. That way it'll just kind of lighten it enough. I wish I had some ceramic or some other paints. So if there's some videos that you really like, or some pictures that you've seen or have taken yourself that you would love to see me maybe do a live with you or someone like that, and kind of do a step-by-step of what I'm looking at and how to do that, I would love any ideas that you have for ideas. Now this Santa is actually starting, I'm actually kind of happy with him for not being really good at drawing people yet. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I always keep downplaying my skills that I have been developing, and I need to really stop. I actually asked ChatGPT, I go, what are some of the blind sides that I have in my videos, and things that I can kind of correct to make them better? And the first thing it said is, stop saying I don't understand yet. And, it's like, I am learning, you're learning this type of stuff, and it's like, have a little more faith in yourself. It's basically what ChatGPT said. I'm like, okay. He has some shadow over here. I'm going to try to, with the glasses, I don't know if I should put that in now, because I might be going, what the hell is this? I might just kind of go cross-eyed over here so I know what is a shadow. So if you're trying to figure out when you're getting to your next step, like putting in the color and stuff. You could probably do some of that and see if it distracts you too much. Like he has the shadow of his glasses right here, and it kind of goes onto his arm. But you could always just kind of have some diagonal lines so you know that this is an actual kind of shadow. And then he has his hairs. And it's like, I want to do his hairs, but I'm not quite sure how. So I'm trying to think in my mind, if I'm doing this for the first time, what do I need to do to try to get that look of that beard? It's kind of a gray and white. Up here it's white, but underneath is a little more gray. So that's something I might want to do. So I might just kind of do a little bit of a line near the outside, anywhere I see more gray, and do some like little sketch marks so I know that yes, it's a little bit darker on the edges here. And underneath his mouth I'm gonna do a little bit of a thing where it's a little bit darker. Oops, I should probably go all in the same direction so I don't confuse myself. I want his mouth about here, and you don't really see his mouth because his hairs are there, but it's a little bit darker here. So I might want more of a gray underneath his mouth, around the edges of his beard. Underneath his nose, he has a little bit of a shadow right here, so I'm going to do another... Dude, I just erased that to have that go the right direction, and then I went the wrong direction. So I want him going all the same here. Maybe it's because I went the other one on the other one. But under here, he has some shading as well. So that's just... I'm doing a lot more sketching with this, but at the same time, I'm trying to learn. So I don't really care if it's a little muddy, because this is practice. You don't have to be freaking perfect. I think that's his shoulder is about right here where the dog... A lot of times I'll make points where I think his shoulders would be, and his other shoulders. So that means his shoulders are kind of at an angle. And he was not fat. He was not really a fat dude. He had a little bit of a belly, but he didn't really have like the rotund little, like belly that you'd picture Santa Claus. Oh. This dude was stocky, and he was barrel chested. So he has a lot of like muscle, and he's an older guy, so everything's starting to kind of sag a little bit, but he still had that stocky build to him. And he's like, this dude, it looks like he's probably worked his whole life. And so that's what I want to try to imply on this, is his face is a little more narrow than this Santa Claus. But that's what I kind of want to imply on this. This is a man who has worked, and has worked for many years with many different types of people. He has seen a lot. He's always impressed with what people can do, and yet, also, he's seen it. He's seen it a lot. It looks like he's kind of hugging Monk in his lap, so I want to have that shoulder kind of come down where his shoulder would be. It almost looks like he would have maybe his shoulder's a little higher up. His shoulder might be a little more up here. So yeah, just kind of do a dots where you think his shoulder might be, so you can kind of think where his bicep would be. And he looks like he's kind of holding my dog, because my dog was a 40-pound dog. He might be short and stocky himself, but he's a hefty boy, and he's like totally like in Santa's lap, trying to climb up into his beard type of. And so this guy is just like, okay, I'm gonna hold you, and let's get some of the dogs. Okay, his ears here, his eyes are almost like I'm going to do kind of a circle. And then he has he's more of an anglish kind of thing. And his eyeballs, or his eyeball is here. He has another eyeball you can't see is about here, but I'm going to do the kind of arch so I can see if his eyes are about the right direction. His nose is a little bit too wide, so I'm going to shave that off a little bit. And that looks weird. But hopefully as I start to I might just kind of adjust this as needed. He has his jaw a little bit over here, and it's kind of at an angle, so I'm used to drawing dogs and cats kind of more face on instead of side views, so this is all very, very new to me. And he has a white stripe that kind of goes up his head. So I might just kind of have to do that. His eye might be a little bit further in. That little, okay, here's his has a little bit of a narrow kind of thing. His eye would be. Like if you have to kind of make a line where you might think it might be. You're just trying to help yourself out by doing some of these. All right, this is, I'm going to do a full-on circle, and then he has his little arch of his brow, and that might be a little bit too big, so we'll just do it out a little bit if I need to. His eyes are not right, but I'm going to move on because maybe if I get his nose in, it might help. His tongue is here, and so his tongue might need to go down a little bit. I'm going to kind of lighten that up. His nose is a little more angled a little bit. It's not as square as I have it drawn in there. And he has his nose at a slight angle here. Like I said, he's at a strange angle that I don't quite understand yet. And don't be afraid to just kind of play around, because the more you do it, the more you learn from it, and the more you see, and you're like, okay, that wasn't quite a good angle, so I'm going to go and look up some videos, or you might get some videos on how to place animals at different angles. And you also kind of have to get in a visual in your head, because you know this guy is sitting down in a chair, he's kind of facing me at a slight angle, his shoulders are kind of slightly angled, and he's looking down at Monk. And Monk is like looking up, almost looking past him, like he's staring at his little puff ball here. It almost looks like he's staring at his puff ball. He's not quite looking at him. It's like he's looking around him, like there's an aura that he's seeing, and he's not actually looking at the guy in the eye from the picture. His eye is, yeah, I'm using my pencil to kind of gauge where the dog is actually looking, and the dog is actually looking at his puffball. So I'm going to do just a gradual little thing where his puffball is, and I'm going to take his eyes, and I'm going to just do a light little thing. So that might help me. Now see, like I said, I have no freaking clue what I'm doing. But eyes are always, hence the word eyeball. They're all balls. So kind of start out with a ball, and then you add the lid. And he has that little thing right here that kind of squips down a little bit where his brow line is. So I'm going to try to keep that in mind, and then kind of line up his brow line with the other side of his eye. So this side might be a little bit too wide. I got to remember to talk louder instead of just under my, because I have a tendency to mumble underneath my breath without actually explaining what the hell I'm trying to do. Draw lines wherever you might think they might help you. If you're doing and you're new at this, don't worry about how messy it is, how many lines you have. I am seeing, when I'm looking at I'm almost seeing like a skull cap right here. And then a larger thing that kind of where his jowls, where he has a little more puff, where his jowls are. It's almost like there's another circle right here. And then he has his ears. They're like a floppy triangle that kind of goes into the back, and his back of his head is slightly behind his ear. And he has a little bit of a flat heads when they're looking straight at you. So that kind of represents here. And he has that a little bit of fuzziness here, and a little bit of, there's almost a round shape or the shadow where his fur is. So I might just kind of do that as a shadow line. So that might just be an idea for me when I'm doing it. I will do a little bit of a thing with some of these hatches, so I know that's kind of a shadow line. It's not actually part of his ear, but that will help define his ear. And he has over here, and then it has a little bit of fold because his head is folded back. He's looking up, so his ears are folded. And he has floppy ears. He doesn't have pointed ears. He had floppy ears. He's part corgi, part beagle, but he has the body of a corgi, but he has the long, flowing, fluffy tail. If I can find a video with him in it, I have one that he's running in the snow. If I can find it off of Facebook and download it, I'll have to put that on the end of this video. Note to self. Let me write that down so I remember. And then we have a little bit of fur here as well, so I'm going to do a little bit of dark scratching there. And yes, I am bouncing around because sometimes when you get one part in, it kind of flushes out the rest. And then he has his little white stripe that kind of ends between his ears. And he's got his nose right here, and it goes kind of sideways, and it comes out a little bit. And then he has, it's almost a shadow. It's not an indent, but it looks like it should be an indent, but it's not. And then he has those other little flaps that are next to the nose. The ladies I really like, she does some really cool pencil drawings. I'd love to get her on a video one of these days and teach me how to do it, because her animals look so real. His nose actually comes out a little bit, and if I see her on a live, I'm gonna have to. And then he has a little bit of his jowl where his lips are coming out. It's right there. He almost looks like he's frowning, but not. Looking like he's getting ready to drink some water. His tongue's out there, and then his chin is a little bit wider here, and it just kind of goes into the rest of his body. He has a little bit of his nose isn't quite right. I might want to make it a little bit rounder here. And there's like some spots here I might want to do for some shadowing, making it a little darker. And then underneath here, I might actually want to bring his eyes forward a little bit, or backwards. He has a long nose, but yeah, I have to work on eyes. I gotta work on eyes. That's okay. His eyes are bugging me. His eyes are bugging me. Thing like I did over with his hat, just kind of do a little bit of squiggle until you kind of feel like that's maybe. He has some like folds and dark spots over here. His head is almost a little more rounded. His nose is a little bit longer. Almost want to bring his head back a little bit more. But if I keep messing with it, I will be doing this for hours. So I'm going to do this as much as I can. I'm going to try to get some of the shadows in and kind of show where the shadows are and see if that kind of helps me get an idea, and see if that can kind of, because it's hard to see what you need to do because everything is one-dimensional. I just dropped that on the floor. Because everything's one-dimensional, and a lot of times you'll end up getting the, what is the word I'm looking for? I'm searching for a word. You'll get the more of the depth of the animal or a person as you start putting in some of these little shadows and stuff around his eyes and stuff. But I know there's something here. I'm messing it up. I might just make his head a little bit bigger. This is actually the side of his face, but the way I have it almost looks like the top of his head. So there's something I'm doing here that's I'm not thinking properly, I guess. Maybe it's because his ears are more up here. Let's try that. But just try different things. That's a little bit better. It's just that this ear is at a weird shape, and it's like, and his mouth, I'm trying to see where that kind of ends, where this type of things, where his where that shadow or his muzzle kind of pops out. That's about where his mouth ends. And then I can see some chairs behind Santa, but I ain't gonna get that detailed. That almost looks like a shadow of his glasses right there. That, or is a fold of a piece of, but his clothes don't look like it goes that far. It looks like it kind of disappears in his beard. And then it kind of comes out a little bit and then kind of disappears into his beard. And I'm trying to see where his creases are on the other side. We've got a little bit of shadow here. And we got some shadows kind of coming in over here. And this whole side is a little bit darker. And then his puffball of a Santa hat. Hard to see this thing. But he does have a shadow right here. And then behind it is very dark. He has his truck behind him, but I'm not going to draw the truck, so I'm just going to do a dark background. And his shoulder kind of comes down. He's kind of holding the dog right here. And we're going to say that is Santa Claus. And now we need to, I'm going to try to lighten this up a little bit. And I'm actually going to use a little bit of that for his, because that thing is really white. So I might actually do his hat and his puffball more white. So this is going to be kind of a mixed media, because whites I have a hard time with. I'm actually just going to use some paint. I don't have the rest of the colors for it, but that's something I might want to buy. And then I can just use some other stuff once it dries. Now, will this work? I don't know. That's the way you do it. It almost looks bluish over here. So note to self, might want to add some blue. I'm going to have to layer that so it kind of covers up all the things, but we'll get that started. And then I'm going to kind of do a little bit right underneath his nose. Santa Claus twirls his stuff. Now, if we're going to be doing like acrylic, let me know, what are the stages do you know of? I know probably white isn't probably the best one to do first, but this is mainly just so I can kind of cover up some of that, the pencil, and have a clear texture that I can see, so when I start adding the pencil to it, it's, because this paper is like a little darker. And I might actually put some of that gray in there as well. Some of the areas that have gray in it, and see if I can layer it with a pencil. I don't know if I can, but I'm going to see. Everywhere that there's like kind of a shadow, like underneath the dog's chin. That way I can kind of see where it's at. And this is the time to learn how to do that type of stuff anyway, so this is something I might want to practice. And I wish I had some more acrylics or oils or something like that. This is kind of giving me ideas that when I start doing some oil and acrylic painting, it's kind of giving me, because I've seen it done, but I haven't actually done it myself, so this is kind of like some of the stuff that I've seen here and there. This will probably take some more layering with the pencil, so like I said, I'm doing 2 of them at once. And then I'm gonna do his outside all in. Might use a darker gray behind him. I'll just mix these 2 together. I have a zinc and a gray sky, and this is off of Deco Art Americana. I really like the Americana Deco Art. It's very smooth. I use this stuff for my fox. See, like this would be kind of cute to be able to do on a mug or on a t-shirt or something like that, or on a poster or something, or maybe do a card. Like I said, once I get some more practice in and learn more about, actually the dog's head's actually doing a lot better. It's still kind of at a weird angle, but just by doing this, I'm kind of learning. That's why you want to do these challenges and stuff, and just pick stuff that you're not used to, or the stuff you've been procrastinating on because you're chicken shit. If I've told myself over and over and over, I cannot learn I am not good at art. I suck at it. I can never learn how to do it. But I never actually took the time to explore and try different things. Watch some really in-depth how-to videos or anything like that, because I was too afraid to know I couldn't do it, to actually take the time and effort to do it. And this is not the only type of artwork that you can do. There is so much stuff out there. They have like mandala, you got Zentangle, you got abstract drawings. There is all kinds of stuff that you can do to give yourself a meditation style, drawing and art and do that type of stuff. Between music, art, painting, and everything else, it's a way to keep your mind active and just keeps you doing stuff and learning and stuff. And start small. Start with holidays. If you have a holiday that's coming up that you enjoy, start with some like simple shapes and sizes, some simple art projects that you can do, that you can incorporate it into your stuff, like decorations and stuff. With me being, well, not really much of a religious person, but it's freaking Santa Claus. Oh, I need to put some shadow underneath his hat as well. Oops. See if we can thicken that up. Don't know if this will work, but we can maybe use it as highlights. Because I think painting would be easier than actually doing full-on acrylic. and see if I can do the pencil over it. I don't know if I can, but I could try. I just don't have the right colors. I might have just made a mistake, but oh well, I'll roll with it. I will fix it. Oh, I just went over his button. Oopsie. Trying to make sure I don't go over. Where's his tongue? His tongue is right here. I got some ink all over my desk. Alright. I'm just gonna put a little bit of gray here and there, or in his beard a little bit. That way I know. Alright, I'm gonna do the rest. I'm gonna let this dry a little bit and then I'll come back. So part 2 later. Okay, it's all dry. That does not take long. A little bit of wet right there. Alright, let's see if I can... how well this will work with pencil. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the drawing part of the video. Right now, the rest of the time, we're going to just do it fast forward, a little bit of Christmas music playing around with the rest of it, because I pretty much just mumbled through the rest of it. So we're just going to enjoy the rest of it as I pencil in the rest and it kind of figure out that mixing some of these work and sometimes they don't. The pencil, you kind of need to work with a different type of paper to have it work properly. This is not the best paper for pencil, like I talked about before in some of my videos. It's more of a multimedia, so you get the kind of the rough, scratchy stuff, and it takes forever to get the colored pencil on. But it works really good for the acrylic. Holds the acrylic really, really nice. So if you're going to do acrylic, this you can just get at your local Hobby Lobby. It's just one of their name brands videos. So let's go and listen to a Christmas music as I try to figure out how to make skin tones with color pencils. And the type of the color pencils I have, not the best kind for skin tones, but you got to work with what you got. And I'm not going to run out and buy new pencils for a 31-day challenge. The point is to use what you got. All right, let's go and enjoy the rest of this video. Okay, I'm gonna stop messing with it. Because that's not bad. For a first attempt, and not knowing what I'm doing, actually not bad at all. Actually more than not bad. Now, I need to learn more about using pencil on animals and getting the right tones for people. I'm using my other, what the heck are they called? Prismacolors and stuff, and I only have like one set. Not really probably the best set for skin tones, but for what I have, it's not awful. Now, I probably just should have kept the white to the hat and a little bit of the beard instead of adding all these other shadows with them. And, you know, from the beginning it was great. It works okay, and it gives it some nice texture and everything. But I'm going to have to work more on pencil on animals and, you know, ask some people who do it for a living, watch some of the pencil ones. I think I'm just not giving myself enough time. And if I gave myself enough time, I could probably figure that out a little bit better. But for the dog itself, for Monk, his nose is a little bit too short. Oh, it looks more like a puppy than a grown dog. He probably should have had a slightly longer nose. Probably up to here probably would have been better, and it would have been accurate for the picture itself. The shadowing is not bad. It's just like it feels like it's not finished. Same with the face and stuff. This beard actually looks pretty good. Not bad. I need to add something to make it kind of the white little. He actually has a tinkle in his eye, but it's hard to put in there. It's hard to keep that little twinkle in the glasses. But it's... So this is for day Friday. It's Saturday. I will have this come out really, really late. That way it'll be kind of... Since yesterday's kind of got messed up and it was for today. So this one is going to be for tomorrow. Or, yeah, probably either midnight or early morning. Well, when it comes out, you won't care anyways. But I'm actually more impressed with the drawing of it. It wasn't bad. His face should have been slightly wider. A little more rounded on the forehead. But I'm actually quite pleased with the drawing of both of them. He looks a little bit... Looks like he's a massive Santa Claus compared to the puppy. But I really, really enjoy that. And my phone's going to die soon, so I need to go plug it in and get some stuff updated. I'm going to try to leave this... it's going to be a very long video, because it's like basically a 1 hour plus video. In case people are actually interested on how I drew it. I might do a little bit of areas that are sped up 2 or 3 times, and if I do, I might do a little voiceover on it. I haven't decided. I'm still kind of figuring that out. I just went and uploaded my, put on my external hard drive for the first time, which I've had for 2 or 3 weeks, and I am the worst when it comes to procrastinating. Oh my freaking God, I am so bad at it. And yet it was so simple. But now I have a lot of stuff. I already moved over a lot of stuff. Now I need to go through all my pictures and put names and timestamps and who was in it and all that type of stuff. So I'm very happy with this. There's still stuff I need to learn. But for someone who hasn't really done any figure drawings, face or animals until this last year, that has come a long way. And so don't be afraid to start. You're going to have to start somewhere. I've been doing like an hour of drawing and stuff every single day. I've been doing all different types of styles of drawings and not just trying to figure out the people drawing, because I actually haven't really been focused on people drawing until this last couple months or so, and even then it's been sporadic. And most of the stuff for learning how to do this has been through like basically whatever's suiting my fancy. You know, Zentangle, it's really helped me with some of the line work. Drawing with ink and quill and doing freehand has really freaking helped me when I'm doing just looking at a picture and drawing with pencil and ink, or just straight up ink. Because you have to get it down right the first time, and you have to figure out how to do proportion size and that type of stuff. So that really does help. Start out with pencil. And then whenever even if you don't feel comfortable moving on to the next step, do it. Because the minute you feel comfortable, you probably have some really bad habits. So it's best to move on to the next section and get going. This needs to be darker or something. That just seems like really... Okay, stop working on it, Holly. Stop working. But when you're just getting started, just when you think you still need a lot more to learn, just keep going. Keep going on to the next one. Keep finding something that you enjoy doing. If it's getting... You feel like you can't get anywhere with your art, try a different genre. Sometimes by the time you do a couple projects in some other type of medium, your brain has a time to incorporate everything that you've learned and you can come back even stronger. So don't give up on yourself. This can be a learned, it's not just talent. People always say, hey, you're talented. It's practice. It's slowing down. It's going, and when you're getting frustrated with one, to stop and actually do something else, but don't stop doing it. Always continue your progress. Even if it's not in the area that you want to learn, sometimes if you just take a break from the stuff that you're really cramming to learn, that can help you process everything you just learned. So make sure you take breaks. Make sure you find stuff you enjoy doing. And keep coming back to the areas that you're having difficulty on. Because when I first started doing pictures of people, they looked like aliens. All the picture, the faces, the noses, everything was out of proportion. They looked like they were melting. And not just Tinkerbell, because I hadn't done any drawing for a while before I started doing this 31-day challenge. And once you get going and you get past that first really bad picture, and because especially if you've stopped doing it for a while because you're not really afraid, but just there's other stuff that you're better at. And so you kind of do that instead, which is fine. But you need to come back because that time away actually might help you. But if your time away is too long, you ain't going to remember anything. So, find stuff that you enjoy doing. When you get frustrated with one thing, do something else, but don't stay away too long. So thank you for joining me today, and if you enjoy doing these types of videos and seeing somebody who is a complete noob, like not even a year ago, barely even know how to draw or speak, stick figures, going from that to drawing a Santa Claus and a dog and actually having them look like a Santa Claus and a dog. And then, join me, and if... I just drew a blank. So join me, and hopefully we will learn something together, and we will help each other along the way to become better artists. Even if you don't make it into a business, just the act of creating can free you. So join me on this squirrel-driven train, and we'll see the new horizon. It could be weird, it could be exciting, it could be scary, but it's going to be different. Love you all. I will see you next time. Make sure you go check out some of my other 31-day challenges, and I will see you in the next video, or live, or anything else. Love you all. Bye.
There she goes. Here she comes.